Have you ever looked into a pair of painted eyes and felt they were staring straight back into you? Not the eyes of a saint, not of a lover, but of someone you'd rather not meet in the shadows? In 1891, when Prince Ferdinand of Bulgaria's ministers first laid eyes on this painting, they recoiled in terror and instinctively made the sign of the cross. And from that moment on, every time they entered the room where it hung, they did the same thing. But why? What was it about this work of art that made hardened men tremble? Tonight, we're unraveling the mystery of Franz von Stuck's Lucifer, a painting so haunting that even today, art historians can't quite agree on what it's truly showing us. Before we get lost in the piercing gaze of Lucifer, let's set the scene. Franz von Stuck was more than just a painter. He was one of Germany's leading symbolist artists at the turn of the 20th century. He rose to fame in Munich, where he was not only a painter but also a sculptor, a designer, and even an architect. He built himself an entire symbolic temple, the Villa Stuck, which still stands today, every corner dripping with mythological motifs. But unlike many of his contemporaries who celebrated beauty, folklore, or patriotism, Stuck had a darker obsession. He was fascinated by archetypes, those timeless figures that carry the weight of human fears and desires. His canvases often gave form to the forbidden, the femme fatale, the serpent of temptation, the angel who has fallen, and none fascinated him more than Lucifer, the brightest of angels now cursed to sit in darkness. Now, here's where the painting comes alive. At first glance, Lucifer seems deceptively simple. A man sits in shadow, his body hunched forward, legs pressed tightly together. His head leans into one hand as though deep in thought. The pose almost echoes Rodin's Thinker, but while Rodin's figure contemplates creation, Stuck's Lucifer seems to plot destruction. Look closer. His right arm twists backward in an odd, almost unnatural way. In the final painting, it's swallowed by darkness, but if you examine Stuck's preparatory studies and etchings, you'll see what he's really touching, the faint outline of a wing. His wing, not gone, but hidden, like a phantom limb of his former angelic glory, now vestigial and useless. The absence of wings is crucial because it places him between categories, no longer angel, not yet beast. Something in between, suspended in a state of tragic incompleteness. And then there are the eyes, those green, penetrating eyes. This is the detail that terrified Prince Ferdinand's ministers most of all. Green was an unstable color in Christian symbolism, sometimes life-giving, sometimes poisonous. To medieval viewers, green eyes could signify witches, betrayal, or envy. And envy is exactly what burns here. Lucifer doesn't rage with fire. He envies the heavens he lost. He envies the light that still shines on others. And that envy transforms into something even more terrifying, a calm, calculating hatred. These eyes are forensic evidence of the true crime at the heart of the painting. Not a crime of violence, but a crime of exile, a being cut off forever from his source, left only with memory and envy. But what about that strange crescent glow behind him? Is it a moon, a halo twisted into parody? Or is it Venus, the morning star, another ancient symbol of Lucifer himself, whose name literally means light bringer? Stuck never explained it, and scholars are divided to this day. Some believe it's a reminder of his divine origin, others see it as a cruel echo of what he can never return to. Whatever it is, it's the one element in the painting that feels alien, almost supernatural, like a doorway to somewhere just beyond the canvas. And here is where comparisons sharpen the meaning. Stuck's Lucifer belongs to a broader symbolist language of silence and menace. Think of Arnold Böcklin's Isle of the Dead, painted in the 1880s, which terrified European audiences not with gore or spectacle, but with stillness, with atmosphere, with a sense of unseen presence. Or think of Max Klinger, another German symbolist whose Cycle the Glove explored uncanny psychological landscapes. These were artists not painting myths for decoration, but for dissection. They were probing the human psyche decades before Freud and Jung put it into theory. Stuck, in fact, taught a young Kandinsky, whose later abstractions carried forward this same obsession with inner realities. But the mythology goes even deeper. Stuck's Lucifer resonates with the Greek titan Prometheus, another figure who defied the divine order. Prometheus gave fire to humanity and was bound to eternal torment, but unlike Lucifer, Prometheus is remembered as a tragic benefactor, a hero. Stuck's figure is the inversion of that myth, the rebel not as savior but as envious outcast. He doesn't bring fire to mankind, he burns with the fire of his own resentment. And maybe that's why this painting haunted everyone who saw it. It doesn't scream or attack, it waits, it stares. It forces you to confront the thought that evil isn't an outside force at all, but something sitting quietly in the room with you, or maybe inside you. And this is why the ministers crossed themselves, not because they saw the devil on the wall, but because the painting forced them to confront the possibility that the devil's shadow lingers in them too. Franz von Stuck's Lucifer has lived many lives, once feared in a royal palace, later forgotten, dismissed as outdated, then revived when the Villa Stuck was reopened in 1986. Today, it stands as one of the most unsettling masterpieces of symbolist art, precisely because it refuses to tell us what to think. It refuses to offer an easy answer. Instead, it leaves us with the same question that has haunted humanity since the first myths of the fall. What happens when light itself chooses darkness? So here's my question for you. When you meet those green eyes, do you see the devil plotting revenge? Or do you see something uncomfortably human staring back? Tell me in the comments what you think this painting really means. Because perhaps the true power of Stuck's Lucifer is not that it terrified the past, but that it still dares us, even now, to look into the mirror of our own darkness today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy exploring the hidden stories behind masterpieces, consider subscribing. I'll be bringing you a new, well-researched and insightful video every week.